Bianca with Leaders in Business Podcast, where CEOs and executives in digital marketing and social media space share their best advice. It is 6 questions in 9 minutes because leaders know what they're talking about. So let's get to it. In a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much. And so what I do is I'm a coach, and I coach high-performing individuals and organizations to leverage their brand to attract top opportunities. And that can either be in leads or in talents.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
what's the best thing about leading your business?
Well, the best thing is that I haven't had to pivot much because of COVID, because I was working with people virtually anyways. And so I've had to do some minor tweaks, but otherwise it's just been kind of smooth sailing, knock on wood.
Yeah, totally. So I hear from others that it can be challenging to grow your business today with everything that is going on. So what are the biggest challenges you see business leaders facing today?
Sure, absolutely. Well, one of the things in regards to growing their business or getting leads, right? Because you need to do that business development piece, is making sure that they're maximizing their online brand. And sometimes people think if you make one tweet or one post, it's just as effective as putting a commercial on the Super Bowl. And unfortunately, that's not the case. And branding these days is creating that relationship, right? Because you want to be as recognized as top brands, especially in whatever, niche market you're in.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So what is the best advice you can give to other business leaders about creating a successful business?
Sure, absolutely. Well, it's making sure that you know what your brand is, first of all. And that is absolutely key, and it should be tied to your mission and vision and goals. And so once you know what the brand is, focus on one particular platform. When I got started, I focused on LinkedIn, and I spent all my time there, branding there. And that's what businesses should do. They should focus on one platform, maximizing that, and really creating opportunities there. And then if they realize that's not necessarily the platform where all of their customers or clients are, look to other platforms to expand.
Yeah. You said about knowing your brand. Can you dive a little bit more about how other business leaders can really know about their brand?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. And so that's tied a lot to their mission, vision, and values. And so if you know what that is, right, there are some things as, sure, it's creating the logo, right, and kind of doing the branding piece. And so when you put things out there, you become recognizable. Right. And so whether you brand yourself with your own name, or you've got, something that's trademarked that you're using, but putting it out there and with the colors, connecting it to your website, and having everything be really streamlined. So when people look at your website, they're seeing the same message that they're seeing on your social media, that they're hearing your employees talk about or you talk about. And it's really all on point with what your mission, vision, and values are for your company.
Yeah, that's correct. So you also mentioned about getting the right platform. So do you have any advices or easiest way or tips on how to really get the right platform for their specific business or for their specific brands?
Sure. Well, you should know who your customers are, right? And the people you want to attract. And so then you think, okay, where do they go to get their information? And so perhaps if you have a product that is focused on that mothers of young babies would be interested in, then you need to think, okay, where are they at? And they're probably on Facebook. Okay. And so that's where you would go. Maybe you'd go into Facebook groups where new moms are at. And so you need to figure out where your customer is. And so if your customer is a customer at a Fortune 100 company, then maybe you need to be on LinkedIn. And you need to find those groups, those hashtags that those leaders are looking at. And so it's really figuring out, and I know that those were two wide, groups that, I just mentioned, but there's zillions of people kind of in between, that on the spectrum. And so it's figuring out exactly who you're trying to target And you may not pick the right platform. You may think that these new moms may be on Facebook, but maybe they are on Pinterest, right? And so again, it doesn't hurt then to have to start branding on two platforms at once if you think that that could be beneficial.
Fantastic. So, what other successful business leaders like yourself would you like to acknowledge and should be on the podcast?
Sure. Well, I can think of two. One who's a female, she does coaching and she coaches primarily females to help them be successful. And I always love it when women are helping other women. And her name is Cassie Howard. And she's primarily on Facebook. She's got a great presence there. And then also Carlos Gill. And he has a presence in a lot of the social media platforms. But what I like about him is that he had, before COVID, his business was primarily going and doing speaking engagements face to face. And he had to completely pivot. And he's been able to do that. So I think that that's great to be able to see a young business leader be able to pivot successfully.
Awesome. I will look them up. So now for the final fun question, who is the most interesting person to follow on social media and why?
Sure. Well, mine isn't necessarily a person because of COVID and my love for traveling, obviously, right? We've all kind of been, in a little bit of a lockdown and haven't been able to travel. But the way that I have kind of, been able to do that is, to look at, travel and leisure, their social platforms, National Geographic, right? And you can dream, like, where can I go? And that really isn't much different than before, right? Because we were all kind of hampered with our wallets and what we could afford to do. But, it's nice now to think, oh, wow, that would be really great to be there now, because we do feel, like we've all been kind of, kept in our houses since March.
Well, that's a wrap. It was a pleasure having you on. How can people find you?
Sure. Well, I'm on the major social media platforms as Liz DaRosa or Dr. Liz DaRosa.
Well, that's a wrap. This is Bianca with Leaders in Business Podcast. For more insights and ideas, go to our website, leadersinbusinesspodcast.com.